doing it for a really long time. He's successful in the industry. What do you think about Simon Kinberg on board as a writer and producer of a new Star Wars trilogy?
I think he's had some high highs. I think he's had some
Yes.
low lows.
Yes.
I think some of those low lows are not a fault of his own.
Yes. I agree.
It's ironically, it was, I think, this week that fellow Syracuse podcast, the Superpod Hero Cast, dropped their Dark Phoenix episode.
Oh.
Completely out of happenstance that it dropped this week, but I was listening to it, and they were kind of going into they tend to kind of go in the weeds on a lot of these movies, give them a full rundown, and brought up Kinberg and how a lot of what happened in that movie is probably not any fault of his. And I would agree with them in the sense that I think that Fox at the time, I was going to say Marvel Studios, but Fox at the time, especially since they knew at that point of reshoots and whatever that they were getting sold, tried to shove a little too much into the movie and tried to, it was a combination of trying to put too much in there and also phoning it in.
Yeah, and that was also a movie that was plagued with studio intervention and rewrites and
Spider-Man 3 effect.
Yeah, things like that. And as was Josh Trank's Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So yeah, spotty track record, but a solid, but still a solid working Hollywood producer and writer for sure. I would say that I think he feels to me like a safe choice for writing.
Yeah,
Star Wars trilogy,
proven in the nerd sphere, proven in Star Wars itself. Also, has films like Logan and The Martian, which are very much not happy-go-lucky or over-the-top superhero films,
and prestige films,
right?
Nonetheless.
And it's weird to say a film that features Logan, Charles Xavier, is not a over-the-top superhero film, but that might be the most grounded superhero film you could possibly make.
I wouldn't say superhero film. I'd say the most grounded X-Men movie.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Possibly the most grounded Marvel movie.
Right. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that. And probably the best one. But that's...
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Almost watched it again last night. That would have been a great hit.
Yeah.
Instead, we did watch the John Williams documentary, which if anyone has not seen that, go watch it yesterday. It's amazing.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
It's great.
Very good.
Awesome.
Very well done.
I think Kinberg is a solid choice for like a ground level, like a story idea even.
Yeah.
Like Kinberg is like a great first draft choice, and maybe his script makes it to final draft. Maybe they have someone come in and punch it up or rewrite it. But I think Kinberg has a really good sense of story, which is what makes him a good producer. And what also makes him a good writer, as long as things don't get too complicated or there's not too many studio heads interfering with his work.
Right.
But I also do think that it is a safer choice. And we have seen Lucasfilm, they kind of, we saw them kind of dip their toe in the let's get some more out there filmmakers, and then immediately kind of like, I don't know if we feel good about that. Let's fire them and replace them with someone we trust more, kind of thing. So I think this is a good choice for Lucasfilm because he maybe is a safe choice, but he also he knows how to tell a story. He knows how to land a plane
very much
more than maybe a J.J. Abrams knows how to land a plane.
So we have Star Wars Mania in the chat saying that he's heard, or he or she, they have heard that he's done Rebels, but others have mixed feelings about Rebels. For full notation, both Mike and I's opinion of Rebels is it is a absolute masterclass in storytelling, especially in the animated form, and that yeah.
I have no mixed feelings about Rebels. Right. I love it.
It's mixed as whether it's great or the best Star Wars animation.
Yeah. I know that there is some debate as to like whether like how much he was involved. Like I think he was really only involved in maybe the first season, and Filoni I think did the majority of the writing. But it is a credit of his.
Right.
So I just wanted to mention it because it is a credit of his and it is a Star Wars related thing. So maybe that's what they meant by mixed messages or mixed results or whatever.
Yep. And
But okay.
if you hang on there, we'll be getting to Andor season 2 in a bit. So
Oh yeah.
there's definitely going to be a even more Star Wars news prior to us talking Andor season 2 though. So
right. Like this. So, Simon Kinberg, hired to write a Star Wars trilogy. Regardless of what we think about Star Wars or about Simon Kinberg, as a writer, as a producer, as a member of the staff of Lucasfilm at this point, he's doing it, or he's been hired to do it. So, what are these movies? Well, folks, there are conflicting reports as to what these movies are. Deadline reports this is going to be episodes 10, 11, and 12, officially. Continuing the Skywalker saga, episodes 10, 11, and 12. Deadline says yes. The Hollywood Reporter says no, it's not episodes 10, 11, 12. It's a different trilogy with new characters and a new story. Jeff Snyder from the Hot Mic podcast says his very well-trusted source for Lucasfilm says yes, it is 10, 11, and 12. And he says, in defense of THR, of course it's new characters and a new story. You're not going to tell the same story with the same characters. You're going to have to do something new. So that's how he interprets the Hollywood Reporter story. So I've seen it reported both ways, but from the majority of things I've read, it seems like this is going to end up being 10, 11, and 12. Why aren't they just coming right out and announcing 10, 11, and 12? Probably because they want to slow roll. They don't want to put the cart before the horse, as they maybe have done a few times in the past. They want to make sure they have something before bestowing upon it the honor of being called episode 10. That's how I kind of see this.
Roughly translated as not pulling a Marvel or Star Wars, and just putting something out way too quick. My question to you is, ¿por qué no los dos? Why not both? Because this can be a Rey-focused film, but also be 10, 11, and 12 with new characters.
It absolutely can. Yeah, of course. Because I don't think there's any way they're going to make an episode 10 and not have some characters that we know come back. There's no way. You can't just make episode 10 and have zero connection to the previous 9 episodes. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
That would be a new episode 1 or whatever.
Yep.
Or in Star Wars land, a new episode 4.
Right.
If you want to be.
It'd
be funny if they only did trilogies like that. They only did trilogies that started with 4. They went back to start with 1, then they finished it. That's just how they tell stories. That'd be great.
This won't be 10, 11, 12. This is actually going to be 13, 14, 15.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then after we'll come back for
That's
10, 11, 12.
Be. Yes. Totally on board with that. That would be amazing. Yeah.
Hey, we had Richard Westfall pop back into the chat from last week. Sorry about not going live last week, Richard.
Yeah,
we had a great episode
back,
that was recorded, and you can check it on on your podcatcher of choice. But I'm sometimes not that bright when it comes to getting new technological setups, and forgot to hit go live. So we have it recorded. It's in audio form. It is not on YouTube. But
we are this week.
A Rey-focused film or Rey-focused trilogy as the mentor, or as Star Wars Mania mentioned, a Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast. Beautiful reference to the old games that were absolutely amazing. Type film that would be absolutely novel, but still tied into the legacy of the quote-unquote Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the question is, do they retire the Skywalker saga mantra, but maintain the continuity of the numbering? Because it's still episodic storytelling, but there's literally not, there's no tie to the original Skywalkers.
Yeah. I think that's probably what they do. They don't necessarily call it the Skywalker saga anymore, but it is going to be a somewhat continuation of some kind of character arc or plot point, whether that's Rey by herself leading new characters, or someone else shows up, Chewie, Finn, Poe, whoever. But you bring up a good question, Steve, because you mentioned Rey, and when this news broke, a lot of people, myself included, said, "Okay, well, if this is going to be episode 10, 11, and 12, what's up with the new Jedi Order
Right.
Rey movie, the directed by Charmin Obaid-Chinoy film that was announced at the last celebration?" According to, I mentioned Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic podcast. According to the Hot Mic podcast, Daisy Ridley will be involved in this movie, and she will be more or less the Obi-Wan of this trilogy, meaning
Which is kind of what we were talking.
Yes, yeah, but not prequel trilogy Obi-Wan. She will be the older, wiser
Right.
Jedi Master Obi-Wan to Luke Skywalker in the original trilogy. Now, does this mean, the next logical question there is that, does this mean that the new Jedi Order movie is dead? Maybe, but
don't
not
think so.
necessarily. You don't think so?
I think that the quote-unquote new Jedi Order movie that's been penned or is in the process of being penned at present would be a perfect off cycle, if that makes sense, to kick off this new era. That they could use that to transition directly into, okay, here's Rey going through trials and tribulations, setting up this quote-unquote new order. Here's where it goes. And it's a lot of what we wanted to see, those of us that are EU fans would have liked to see 15 years ago when Mark Hamill was still able to do what he did in the old EU of setting up the Jedi Academy on Yavin, doing the whole, building a better order and galaxy. But it seems like it would be a great jumping off point for a new era.
Well, that's exactly what the speculation was from the guys on the Hot Mic podcast, that the new Jedi Order movie, which apparently, according to Snyder, has gotten a new writer. He doesn't know who the writer is, but we know that what's his face, Kevin Knight, or what was his name? Something Knight, Stephen Knight.
Stephen
just departed the project. Apparently, they have a new writer on Jedi Order. So if they're hiring a new writer, then the project's not completely dead. And that's what they were saying on the podcast this week, that the Hot Mic podcast, that this movie could serve as a bridge, the way they were saying it, from episode 9 to the new trilogy. Or that's one possibility. The other possibility is that the idea for New Jedi Order, whatever the idea for that story is, kind of gets rolled into whatever this episode 10 ends up being.
Yep.
And I don't know if you remember this, Steve, but we talked about a rumor months ago that the Sean Levy Star Wars project that he's been working on might feature an older version of Rey, an elderly Rey.
Mm-hmm.
Does that become the third movie in this trilogy, as directed by Sean Levy? Like, have they been gathering these pieces to this new trilogy for a while?
Sean Levy, who's familiar with the work of Simon Kinberg, seeing he was the producer on Deadpool and
Deadpool and
2.
Wolverine. Exactly, yeah. So it's possible that this has been the building of a trilogy the entire time. It's possible that New Jedi Order is going to be episode 10, and then whatever episode 11 is, and then episode 12 is the Sean Levy movie. Like, that's a possibility. It's also possible, what we were just talking about, that New Jedi Order is a bridge to a new trilogy. However, the argument for New Jedi Order possibly being dead has to do, I feel like we can't ignore the fact that there's been like just zero updates, and they're on their third writer, and there's just no way that it's gonna hit. Like, there's Mando Grogu comes out in May of 26, and they still have a December date. There's a new Star Wars movie dated for December of 2026.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the New Jedi Order movie is going to hit that date, but according to the Hot Mic podcast, there are 3 Star Wars movies in development that could hit that December 2026 date.
Now
Now,
the best things, because you know how notoriously I'm horrible at reading the show notes ahead of time. The best thing I just saw in your show notes, though, is that Disney is not pressuring Lucasfilm to hit that date.
Yes.
And that is something that I am extremely glad to hear.
Yes. They're saying, again, this is according to the Hot Mic podcast, that there are movies in development that they still could hit that Christmas 26 date. And one of those is possibly James Mangold's movie, depending on how far along his script is. If he turns that script in soon and they can start production, we might get that Origins of the Jedi movie by 2026. However, like you just said, according to them, Disney is not pressuring Lucasfilm to hit that date. We've heard reports in the past that Iger was like, you need to have a Star Wars movie in theaters by this date or you're in trouble or whatever. But then we had those strikes and that wasn't possible, so all the dates got moved. But now we're hearing reports that instead of trying to hit a date or that Christmas date, the date that they're trying to hit is a date that would be around May 25th, 2027. Steve, do you know why that date would be significant?
Well, if you backtrack and use your math skills, 2027 is approximately 50 years from 1977.
Correct.
And that would make that
correct.
The 50th anniversary of the Star Wars franchise.
Correct. So it seems like whether or not they have a movie in theaters December 2026, they are planning and laying the groundwork and doing whatever they can to have a movie in theaters for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars in May of 2027. Now, to me, that seems like a pretty good time to launch a new trilogy, to launch episode 10.
I just had something pop into my head about these upcoming movies. And Star Wars Mania, we're going to get back to that feudal Japan origin, the lightsaber, samurai origins thing in a second, because I also have thoughts on that for the Mangold movie. For the new trilogy that we're talking about, we've heard Kinberg is associated with all 3. The initial report says writer. He has worked with Levy, like we're talking about for the 3rd movie.
Yeah,
they're already developing the first movie with Obey Chinoy. Is he possible? You know, they're talking writing, but is he script doctoring and producing these? Maybe.
Well, he is producing. He is producing. Are you asking if he might direct
I'm saying
one?
no. But I'm saying like script writing and producing in lieu of, writing, like strictly writing. Like, do they use what's already in development for the first movie? Do they use the Levy as the bookend, and then he's, writing the second one or something?
Could be that he's not the sole. You're saying he may not be the sole writer. Like, if the new Jedi Order film becomes episode 10, is maybe Kinberg is the new writer on that movie. And like you said, script doctoring more than creating from whole cloth.
Right, because they
kind of going on.
For all we can tell, they have a solid, at least bones, even though they
have a premise.
Right, even though they got rid of Night.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they clearly have a premise in mind.
Yeah.
It's possible. So I feel like I would like the new Jedi Order movie to be a separate thing. I would like it to be a bridge between the 2 trilogies, personally. But also, I would understand if they just want to roll it into episode 10 because, let's face it,
it is continuity.
It's continuity, and the episode films are the ones that make $1 billion.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Solo didn't make $1 billion. I think Rogue One actually did, but people were high on Star Wars after Force Awakens, and 50% of the fan base was low on Star Wars after Last Jedi. But I think They want Star Wars movies that are event movies. They want Star Wars movies that are going to get people to go to the movies and pay money to see them, like movies that feel essential to the casual Star Wars fan, right?
Right.
Like I didn't watch Rebels, I didn't watch Clone Wars, I'm not watching the Disney Plus shows, but you tell me there's episode 10, I'm going to the movies. Those are the people they need to get. So I wouldn't be surprised if New Jedi Order turns into episode 10. Personally, I would love a solo Rey movie to kind of show her bridging the gap between where we left her in episode 9 and then how she grows and evolves into a mentor character that we're hearing rumored to be in her role in episode 10 through 12.
Yeah.
So
No, and that'd be
that's my personal opinion.
Couple things. For the first note, Rogue One did get over the hump, 1.05 billion.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought
just
Rogue One
barely.
made a billion.
In all honesty, it's a travesty it didn't get more. Just from the quality of that film. It
so good.
For any new listeners, I believe it was number 2 for me in the rankings that we did. If you want to go back to May the 4th, 2 years ago, we did our Star Wars rankings.
Yeah.
For the two of us, as well as friend of the pod, Matt Beseda. We did also poll the audience, which was great. So
that was fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. Usually we'll have a solid May the 4th episode.
I could rank my Star Wars movies every year. We could just do that same. We could re-record that episode once a year, and I would have the time of my life. Even if none of our opinions have changed.
No, not at all. It'd be
I would
great.
have the time of my life doing that.
We should do TV, be it live action or animation this year.
I was thinking that too. That this year we should do TV.
Yeah, that works. All right, we've got ideas. And how deep do we dig? Do we bring in Ewoks and droids, or?
I mean, I think if you want to rank them in your top 5 or whatever we end up doing, good.
Fair enough.
But that's up to you. You
yeah.
know? Technically, the holiday special is a TV special, so you want to put that in your top 5 Star Wars television programs, then sure, go right ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if we do or we don't, but one way or another, we were talking about the New Jedi Order series a lot, but we kind of glanced over James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi. Do you have any thoughts on what you want to see from that? Because I know in the chat, like I mentioned, the couple of folks in the chat were talking about, do you want to bring it back to what George Lucas had based a lot of Star Wars off of samurai tropes and feudal Japan type situation, or whether they show proto sabers and that sort of thing, or what.
Man,
what
I have no idea, because this movie, it's been referred to. The working title seems to be Dawn of the Jedi, or what it's referred to as. Who knows if that's going to end up being the title of the movie? But it's also been, I remember James Mangold giving quotes about how it's about the origins of the Force, not even just of the Jedi, just like the Force itself. So that tells me it might be even further back than any kind of laser sword.
Yeah.
Could be. Like, this could be pre-anything. This could be the first person learning about the Force, and something tells me that the first person that ever encountered the Force didn't immediately go and build a lightsaber.
That's
so,
and I know I've said before, like, Dark Horse had a run of comics called Dawn of the Jedi that was like 35,000 years before the movies,
which seemingly is the same time period as this James Mangold film.
Yeah. So something along those lines. I mean, there's stuff to work off of. Now, that was like the ultra beginnings of the Jedi Order itself. But they could take it in a bunch of different ways, and it's kind of an open book at this point as to what it could be or what it may be. So I guess nobody has a clue. Yeah,
and me, I haven't read. I've only read a handful of Star Wars comics. I haven't read the Star Wars novels. I'm a TV and film Star Wars fan, so
I still got to get you those Vader comics, by the way, because those are required reading.
Yeah,
like Charles Soule writing Darth Vader. Like, what more do you need?
Yeah, no, you've been singing the praises of those books forever. I'll read the hell out of those. But when it comes to this Mangold movie, like, I just don't have any expectations.
Yeah,
which is the best way to go into any Star Wars movie.
That's how we ended up with Agatha all along.
Yeah, or yeah,
Like, did
anything.
not
Like, I
have
don't have
any
any
expectations, and
about
it's like,
this.
huh, this
Yeah.
is really good. Okay, cool.
Yo, I'll say this next whenever Mando and Grogu's coming out. I'll say this then, but I'll say it right now too. When you're standing outside the theater and you're about to walk in to go see Mandalorian and Grogu, or hell, when you're about to walk in to see New Jedi Order or Episode 10, or you're about to walk in to see this James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi movie, stand outside the theater. Here's what you think to yourself: what's inside there? Only what you take with you. Right?
Absolutely.
Only your expectations, only your predetermined, uh, you know, decisions upon what you want and what you want to get out of the thing you're about to see. Like, you bring too many expectations with you, you're gonna have a bad time. That's what ruined Last Jedi for a lot of people. A lot of people, because it
Yeah.
wasn't what they wanted. Like, you got to meet the movie where it is.
Now that's not what ruined Rise of Skywalker for a lot of people. That was just shit.
No,
That's a whole different
no,
story. Um,
that's a whole mess.
and as always, I appreciate people that do enjoy it. It's almost a running gag at this point, me me shitting on that movie. So I apologize for that. But
It's okay.
the yeah, no, it's
I
the
don't
other
I
thing
don't
we're
think it's
seeing in the
good,
chat
but
a
I like
lot,
it more than you.
we
Sorry, go
still
ahead.
we still need to have you play through Knights of the Old Republic at some point, because we do have a lot of talk in the chat about KOTOR and how that is such a
Sorry, chat.
it really is such a great story. I don't know how they could adapt it into film, but it would be it's an extremely good story.
If they finish that remake of the game, I'll play the hell out of it. Or if someone gives me a early 2000s version Xbox with a version copy of that game, I'll play it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm dying to. Finish the remaster. Finish the remake.
So Star Wars Mania, I see you mentioned The Acolyte, and how did that show do without the preconceived bias? I think both Mike and I would fall under the guise of, was it an A plus? No. Was it a very solid show that left a lot of questions that I really want to know the answers to and wish they'd have continued with the season 2? Yes.
Yeah, and I think I liked it more than you. Like, I don't know
Oh
if I
no,
would say A plus, but
I
like,
thought it was a solid like B plus A minus.
yeah,
Like there was
I thought it
a
was
lot
great.
of good. There was some like I get why there was criticism of the show, but I also don't think the criticism the show got was to the level of what it warranted.
And also, there were like rumors and stuff going around before that show aired. Like, people were shitting on it before it even came out, in a way that's like, you're creating expectations by saying like, this is gonna be the gayest Star Wars ever, and it's just gonna be a bunch of like woke bullshit. Like, whether or not you think that's true, saying that before the show even comes out, like, is creating expectations for people. So then they're even either looking for things that justify those expectations, or they're looking through a lens that does not allow them to see it for what it is or see it for themselves.
Right.
Because they're already clouded by, what they've read online or whatever. So, anyway,
We're
to
still
wrap
on our
this up,
first
I know
story,
we've
by
been.
the way.
What's that?
So we're still on our first story for the record.
I knew he would be. And in general, I guess I want to say while it is exciting to hear an announcement of a new Star Wars trilogy, Steve, I think you'll be with me when I say, like, it's hard for me to be like out of my mind excited about this when there's been so many other announcements that either have fallen off or not been delivered upon or been canceled or pushed back. It's like you and I have been saying for a long time, like, we just want them to make something. Like, just give us something.
Yeah.
And, we're getting Mandalorian Grogu. Great. I'm excited about that.
Still hope that's working.
Not to the level that I would be if we get an episode 10 finally in production, but I'm still very excited about it. And
everything
I just want this to happen.
Right. Everything they've said they've got in production sounds like a good concept.
Yeah.
Including stuff like Rogue One that, it might be paused in production or whatever, but it's still hypothetically on the list.
Right.
So.
But it's hard to get excited when I've been excited for a long time about a lot of stuff that just hasn't happened. So we'll see. We will see. So finally moving on to our next story, but still sticking in Star Wars, but I doubt we'll talk about this one for an entire half hour. Out of D23, a Disney convention that happens. Does it happen once a year? I think it does, but it's varying levels of
Yeah, I know
hype.
this year it was twice a year, right? Or was this the only?
Oh, was it?
Oh no, it just moves around. Like
Yeah,
this
it was in
D23 was
Brazil
in
this
Brazil.
year.
Yeah, okay, I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Didn't get as much. I was hoping for a lot more news out of D23 this year than we got. We did get a couple cool things, and one of those things, we got a release date for Andor season 2. Hotly anticipated second season of Andor will drop April 22nd, 2025. So that's coming right up, and I'm very excited for that. Andor being my favorite Star Wars television thing, I believe.
Yeah.
Also, the official logo, they released the official logo for Andor, and it brings back the A Star Wars Story branding, which I think is cool, which we got from Rogue One and Solo. The series will cover 4 years, which we knew, but now we have a little more clarification around that. Whereas each year will be represented by 3 episodes, which, if my math is correct, means we'll be getting 12 episodes total. 4 years, 3 episodes per year. And I think that's good because it's kind of how Andor season 1 was structured in 3 episode kind of arcs.
Yep.
So it mirrors that. And, when I first, we knew a long time ago, I think after season 1 came out, they said that originally the idea was to make 5 seasons covering the 5 years leading up to Rogue One. But then Tony Gilroy and Diego Luna were like, we can't do this that long. That would take too long. Supposed to be a prequel and we're all aging. I can't I can't make Diego Luna constantly look
he's holding up pretty damn good, but
oh, he looks great for sure. He looks amazing.
Yeah. Well, was it Genevieve O'Reilly who plays Mon Mothma?
Yeah.
Was like literally you look at the deleted scenes from episode 3 and then you see you're like, did she age at all?
I know. Yeah, she looks great. But I think it's great but then when I heard that, they're just going to season to cover 4 years, I was like, that seems like you're cramming in a lot of time into one season, but having each year represented by 3 episodes, I think gives enough time to tell a story and to kind of cement it in a time period where it's not just like 1 episode per year or something like that. Like, it gives you enough to feel where the characters are and what's going on, and then by the end of that, we're jumping to the next year.
100%.
So I think that's good. Steve, are you excited about Andor season 2?
Does a Wookiee shit in the woods?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either, but I'd assume so.
Wookiees shit anywhere they want.
Very true. But yeah, no, it seems like we're getting more of Gilroy and awesomeness. So I'm of course excited.
Of course.
That really was, again, zero expectations. I don't think anybody wanted or cared about what Cassian Andor was doing prior to Rogue One. And it really turned into probably the best Star Wars we've seen since the original trilogy.
Yeah, like I said, it's top tier Star Wars stuff for me.
It's prestige Star Wars television. That's something we haven't seen, and that was it. And it's like it set a new bar, and it also the other thing that it set was you can make Star Wars for adults. You can make Star Wars for whoever you want to make it for, because this is definitively not a kids show.
Oh, not at all. Yeah,
but
diversifying.
It's extremely good. There's no other way to like, if you haven't seen Andor and you're listening to this and you remotely, even if you don't care about Star Wars, if you just want to see a sci-fi-ish or set in a sci-fi setting show, it's just a good show.
Yeah, I agree. My guess is that season 2 is going to be a little more Star Warsy than season 1,
especially
because I feel like the closer we get to Rogue One / A New Hope / I guess Rebels, that you're gonna get more Mando, Star Warsy kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, no.
So we'll see, but like you're saying, like, it was just a good story. Like, it wasn't something they felt like they had to make, but they had a good story idea. And so, when you make something based on whether or not the story is good,
Yeah.
then you're likely to have a good
I mean,
good thing.
that's basically our
Movie.
podcast mantra. Just
Yeah.
make a good movie.
Just make a good movie. Focus on story. And speaking of focusing on story,
Mm.
someone who has said that quite a bit, James Gunn,
Oh, weird.
regarding his new DC universe, story-focused universe. And sorry, Star Wars Mania, but we're gonna start talking about other franchises now. But appreciate you being here. If you want to hang out, please let us know what you think about DC and Marvel stuff as we go through.
Yeah.
But if you're like just cruising around to see who's talking about Star Wars, you're gonna dip, then thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
But we will talk about various other things, and I'd assume tangent back to Star Wars at some point because that's what we usually do.
It's hard for Steve and I to not be just constantly talking about Star Wars.
Right, right. I mean, look at your sweatshirt.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I got this at a thrift store for $6.
sold.
I got a Boba Fett Star Wars hoodie, $6. Dope. Anyway, reports are coming out, or have come out this week, that Barry Keoghan will play the Joker. Keoghan is the
Yes.
actual?
Gaelic pronunciation.
Wow. Literally, like, everyone I hear say it either says Keoghan or Keoghan. And I don't think Keoghan is right.
No.
Say it again?
Keoghan.
Keoghan. That's really how he says it?
I thought I heard him say that way.
Oh, okay. Well, Barry. This guy Barry. Keoghan. Whatever. Showed up in a cameo as the Joker in a little movie called The Batman. Reports are indicating that Barry Keoghan will be playing the Joker again in a cameo in Batman Part 2, which is being developed currently.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after the Batman Part 2, will lead a series on Max, a Joker series that will bridge Part 2 and Part 3, much like the Penguin series is doing for Part 1 and Part 2.
I was going to say, if this is remotely as good as the Penguin is, inject this into my veins.
Right. And it's also, part of this report is saying that in Batman Part 3, Joker will be the main villain.
Okay.
So they're like teasing him, and then he'll be on full stage in Part 3. Now, this news came out this week. James Gunn, very active on social media, very quick to swat down a rumor, denied this immediately, saying, quote, "No, there is absolutely no truth to this. A Joker series is not being discussed, nor has it even come up at this time. Sorry." So I don't think he would come out that adamantly against it if it was really happening. So again, according to Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic podcast, Jeff Snyder, pretty reliable Hooper, says that his trusted sources says that there's some kind of truth to this and that there is going to be some kind of villain series that bridges the gap between Part 2 and Part 3. Will the Joker be in that series? Maybe. Maybe it's not a Joker-focused series. It might just be something that he pops up in, but it could be focused on a different villain or different character, possibly Catwoman even. And I remembered that a long time ago, maybe not that long time ago, but I think when they announced the Penguin, they also announced a Gotham City PD series, which eventually evolved into an Arkham Asylum series, or was ditched in favor of an Arkham Asylum series. And since then, I've read Matt Reeves mention that the Arkham Asylum series has evolved into something else. So is it possible that this is what they're talking about, and it's just like maybe it's Catwoman, maybe it's just a general villain-focused thing, and the Joker's going to be a part of that? I don't know. This is all like hearsay, but here's one thing I do know, Steve.
What's that?
I'm not interested in a full series where the Joker is the main character. I'm not interested in that at all.
So Keoghan's Joker, very different, seemingly different take on it.
Yep.
Probably closer to Ledger's Joker than anything we've seen. Like
maybe
he's not the happy-go-lucky, crazy, whatever.
Yeah, he's not a cartoon.
Right. He's very grounded and very not right in the head. But again, if they can take, and when I said this earlier about if it's like the Penguin, if it is to the quality of the Penguin.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I agree with you. As much as I'm saying like I'm not interested in a series where the Joker is the main villain.
Yeah.
That's because I think the Joker is better when there's some mystery around him.
So Richard in the chat also just said, I've always said less is more with Joker. And that
less is more with Joker,
yeah.
Richard. Yes, man. Yes, I agree with you. Especially if it's true that he's going to be the main villain in part 3, then I don't want to be sick of him by the time we get to part 3.
You don't want the overexposure and
yeah, don't overexpose him to me in a whole series. Joker's better when he's unpredictable. And if you give me a whole series about him, then I'll understand where he's coming from or whatever. Like, I don't want that.
Right.
I would love an Arkham Asylum series. I would love a Catwoman series. And I would love anything in that world that is to the level, like you said, to the level of the Penguin.
Yeah.
Like, the Penguin is outstanding. The Penguin is top tier comic book adaptation television. Like, for me, it's like up there with like Legion and Daredevil and Watchmen. Like, it's so good. And who would have thought?
No.
Who would have thought the fucking Penguin?
No thoughts whatsoever.
Leads a series that's so good that I put it in the same breath as Daredevil and Legion or whatever. Like, that's insane.
Well, and that's the thing is, again, something we had no expectations going in for.
Right.
Like, going in, we're like, yeah, Colin Farrell's Penguin was kind of cool, and Batman, like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect it to be him. That looks weird. Let's check it out. And then after one episode, you're just like, holy shit, this is good.
Yeah. By the way, the finale of The Penguin is out right now.
Oh, is
as
it?
We're talking.
Nice.
I'm kind of mad that I'm podcasting instead of watching the finale of The Penguin, to be honest with you.
I have
so good, man.
4 episodes to catch up on, and I'm still singing its praises this hard. It's like
no, every episode is great.
Yeah.
There's no slouching episode. Like, every episode is tremendous.
And
so
does Christine Milioti get any recognition in award season for this performance? Because oh
She
my god,
better. Holy shit, she's so good.
Yeah.
She's so good. And I know I heard a rumor that she might show up in the Batman Part 2. I really hope they do that. I hope they keep this character going throughout this saga or series or whatever, however it ends up. I love it so much.
insane.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not fully interested in a series about the Joker, and based on the performance of the most recent Joker film, I don't know that the public at large is interested in a series about Joker.
Probably true.
So that's a big reason for me that makes this report probably not true. Is that I feel like, if anything, Warner Brothers is like, let's pull back on the Joker stuff. Like, let's not,
right. Let's put the brakes on for this one. It's a little too soon.
It is insane. We may have talked about this already because it's been a couple of weeks since Joker Folie à Deux came out. But how crazy is it that that movie was a sequel to a movie that made $1 billion, and yet it bombed so incredibly hard? Like, that's so crazy that the first movie was so successful and it just didn't even have enough juice to like be profitable. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, when it goes down, like, what are the worst sequels ever?
I mean, worst or least successful. Clearly, this has got to be in the camp of the least successful sequel of all time. What? What'd you say?
Speed 2. You remember that mess?
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I remember it.
Yeah.
I've also never seen Joker Folie à Deux.
Yeah, fair enough. Same here.
I don't know if I ever will. Anyway,
wasn't there?
Let's move on.
There were some Jaws ones that were less than stellar.
Every Jaws sequel is less than stellar.
Well, I mean, all of them are less than Jaws, but yes.
Yeah, that's the problem. Jaws 2. For those of you listening that may not know, Jaws is my favorite movie. I love it. I think it's a masterpiece.
Both of us have put out the statement that it may be as close to a perfect movie as you can get.
It's exceptional. Jaws 2 would be a great movie if it wasn't the sequel to Jaws, which is a masterpiece. So you're immediately judging it against a flawless film. So it takes a big hit. But Jaws 2 is pretty good. It treats the shark like it's a slasher.
Yep.
Basically, it's basically like a slasher movie where the killer is a shark instead of, a hockey mask wearing killer. 3 is terrible and 4 is terrible. Yeah. So you're right about that.
Okay.
And I don't know that we'll ever see another sequel or remake to Jaws because I feel like in our current timeline, it seems wild to make a movie where the point of the movie is trying to murder an animal of any kind. Seems like that would be not great.
So I did find a list of opening weekend bombs based on opening weekend or sequels. So Folie à Deux,
Okay.
Folie à Deux, Joker opened at 96 million, Folie à Deux at 37. On Joker's budget being 55, Folie à Deux's being 200K.
And that is insane.
Yeah.
Joker made $1 billion off of how much?
55K or 55 million.
$55 million, and it made $1 billion. The second one cost $200 million.
It made 37.
And it opened to $30 million. Yikes.
Sin City 2. Sin City opened at 28. Sin City 2 opened at 6.
Sin City 2 is not great.
Not great.
I saw it in the theater, and it was.
Ghost Rider opened at 45. Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance opened at 22. These are all in millions for the record.
Have you ever seen Spirit of Vengeance?
Oh, I have.
Really? I've never seen it.
I don't know if I've seen the whole thing. No, yes, Mike. It's a cinematic masterpiece. It is a goddamn Francis Ford Coppola film. What are we doing here?
Hey, after recent news, I don't know if you want to compare it to a Francis Ford Coppola film, but anyway.
Fair enough. Evan Almighty. Which,
really?
Bruce Almighty opened at 67. Evan Almighty opened at 31.
Yikes.
Shazam. We talked about this explicitly. Shazam opened at 53. Shazam Fury of the Gods at 30. Have not
Shazam
seen
Fury of the Gods is
Gods.
pretty bad.
Okay. Independence Day opened at 50. Resurgence opened at 41.
That's not that big of a drop off.
Independence Day's budget was 75. Resurgence was 165.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I mean, like Independence Day, like it opened, but then it also had legs. Like
Right.
it went on to be like this huge summer blockbuster for
Yeah.
sure. And I don't think Resurgence made it too far.
In modern news, Aquaman 67. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom 27. So not
Aquaman is
great.
also a movie that made $1 billion.
Sticking with DC, Wonder Woman 103 on opening weekend. 1984 made 16.
Well, that's deep COVID times too.
Oh, that was too.
That's a big COVID movie. If Wonder Woman 1984 came out before COVID hit, it would have made $1 billion. I think it would have made $1 billion because Wonder Woman was such a huge hit. It would have been like huge opening weekend, then huge drop off because it's not a great movie. But I think tons of people that was one of the most streamed movies
right. It was
of
that
all time. Like when that
right?
hit, and like even when it came out on Blu-ray, like it one of the
Yeah.
highest selling things because like people just wanted to see it so bad. So I think that would have made a ton of money if it was actually in theaters, not during a worldwide pandemic.
Fair enough. Continuing on, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland 116 million. Ooh. Through the Looking Glass 26.
I forgot that they even 26.
Yeah, not great, Bob.
Wow.
Not great.
Wow. I forgot they even made a sequel to that. Did Tim Burton direct the sequel?
No,
really?
James Bobbin. James Bobbin.
Yeah.
And then The Marvels, which was Captain Marvel at 153 opening weekend, The Marvels at 46, which I still stand by the fact The Marvels was a good movie, but
Marvels is pretty good. And also that's another one Captain Marvel made $1 billion.
Right. So
Marvel's tanked.
Either way, Folie à Deux is right up there in this category.
Right up there. I think I think the only reason that The Flash is considered a bigger bomb than Joker Folie à Deux is The Flash cost more money to make.
Right.
Than Joker Folie à Deux. But otherwise,
not by
Joker.
much, though. Like, not by a ton. I did not realize
it's like another 100 million.
200 million.
Yeah.
How, I don't know. But
Well,
you know what else costs a lot to make, Mike?
Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk
Captain
about
America, Brave New World.
one. I'm sure it cost quite a bit, judging by how much we're seeing Red Hulk in
I
this
was gonna say,
trailer.
can you quick try to look up the budget of
I
Captain
will.
America: Brave New World, because they had to reshoot a ton of this movie for some reason that we don't know of. Massive reshoots for this movie. Yeah, but we got a new trailer for it. A new trailer for Captain America: Brave New World, Captain America 4.
Which is a $350 to $375 million movie.
Wow!
Yeah. Due to ongoing reshoots,
Wow!
it bumped it by between $75 and $100 million. It's like they're shooting a brand new movie, and I quote.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
So they need this movie to do astronomically well.
So Richard in the chat, because there's the time delay, Richard in the chat said, I'm guessing 275. Well, buddy, bump that one up by 100. Yep.
Man. I mean, maybe before the reshoots.
It probably was.
It was in the twos.
It was probably about 275, which still would have been a lot, but it wouldn't have been like, holy shit, what are they doing a lot.
Man.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Now, that said, if this hits the way the original trailer and this trailer look, then they're in for something good.
That is what I'll say. This is a great trailer.
Yeah.
This trailer looks awesome.
And
this makes this movie look awesome.
It adds to it with, I don't think, giving away any major story beats.
It really doesn't. Yeah.
So we see a lot more Red Hulk.
We do. But we knew Red Hulk.
Yep.
But they keep saying, like, we don't know who's pulling the strings. Like, you and I and people that listen to this podcast know who's pulling the strings. It's the leader. Because Tim Blake Nelson's coming back as the leader. He's cast. They announced him. He's talking about it. So it's going to be him. We don't see him still. I think we hear his voice. We hear his voice in this trailer.
They show the picture of what I would assume is him talking on the phone to someone.
But it's like a silhouette.
Right. It's like a backshadowed.
Yeah. Yes.
And he doesn't have a giant head, so there's that.
Right. But he's wearing a hat.
It's
Unless I either
hat.
thought,
I mean,
well, maybe it's a different shot that we're talking about. Because there's one shot someone's on the phone, they're wearing a hat.
No, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I also thought that they could
in
be...
In the comics, his head is like freaking mastermind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also thought that could be a shot of Giancarlo Esposito's character, and they're just using the voiceover over that shot to make it, throw us off or whatever. But yeah, this trailer looked intense. It looked like they are clearly going after the look and feel of like Winter Soldier.
Right.
Which I think is smart. It's like, it just feels like deep espionage kind of political thriller, which is what they were going for with Civil War. So I hope they pull it off. Yeah. I want this movie to be great.
Marvel needs this movie to be great.
And I think it could. I think it could be based on this trailer.
Yeah.
And based on the fact that it's a Captain America movie and it's got a Hulk in it. Like, it's got like fun Marvel stuff. And it's got stuff that people want to see.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's not like Ant-Man 3, which is like, why are we doing this? I barely care about any of these characters. This is like characters I care about and actors I care about. Harrison Ford's in this movie. Awesome. I want to see Harrison Ford turn into a Hulk and punch Captain America. Hell yeah.
I went from my wife and I watching the latest episode of Shrinking 2 nights ago to watching this trailer yesterday, and I was like, that's 2 very different Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Awesome.
Also, Shrinking is amazing. If anyone listening has not watched it,
we're close to starting that.
Yeah,
you keep singing its praises. It's on our list for sure.
I mean, it's Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. Like,
yeah.
What more do you need? And
what more do you need?
The neighbor from Married with Children. The dude. Oh God.
You're not helping me.
You'll know him when you see him.
Okay.
But yeah, there's in one of the Liz is somebody from Scrubs, and Jessica Williams is hilarious, and it's just great.
Nice.
So
cool. Well, yeah, we get shots of Isaiah Bradley clearly getting like triggered in some way, or like they set up the fact that some super soldiers have like mind I don't know, like mind control codes or whatever. Like Bucky was in
Right.
Civil War, so like something like that clearly triggers Isaiah Bradley to attack the president. He's in jail. He's asking for Sam's help, and all this kind of stuff's going on. There's just like deep conspiracy stuff. So like underlining conspiracy, but then with like Marvel punchy explosy stuff on top of it. This trailer looks great. It looks really great. And like you said, Marvel needs it to be great. Marvel needs a hit. They need a big hit. And they had Deadpool and Wolverine, but that is not really. Yes, it's an MCU movie, but it's also kind of not an MCU movie.
Right.
Same time. Doesn't do much to integrate Deadpool into the main timeline of the MCU. So great. Yeah, it was a hit. It was a success, but is it a success for their overall storytelling? No, not necessarily. They need this movie that is deeply within MCU continuity, be good, and this trailer makes it look good. You know what else looks good? Thunderbolts.
So I didn't see that. I didn't see
Okay.
your link until too late.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in the dark on that.
This isn't it. We got another from D23. We got an extended trailer from D23. And when I first started reading the article, I thought the article was phrased as they showed an extended trailer for Thunderbolts at D23. And then I kept scrolling down. I was like, oh, damn, it's on YouTube. I thought this would be the thing that they just showed like in-house.
Right. Kind of like they showed the Mandalorian and Grogu films or shots at Celebration.
Yes. Yeah.
Where it just happened there and nobody else got to see it.
No one else got it. Yeah, and that happens all the time at Comic-Cons and things like that. Trailers that aren't released until later or whatever. But this is an almost 4-minute special look is what they're calling it. It's like 3 minutes and 40 seconds at Thunderbolts. And god damn, it looks great. It looks awesome. It looks fun. It looks funny. Again, these are characters that I don't necessarily care too much about, besides one or two of them, but
right. Outside of Bucky and Yelena, we don't really have ties to anything.
Those are exactly the two that I was thinking of.
Right.
Like I like Red Guardian because I like the Black Widow movie and
right. And I like David Harbour. Like
David Harbour's good. Yeah,
hilarious.
Exactly. But yeah, like it just looks really great. Like I won't go into too much detail, but there's some things that we saw in that teaser that we got a month or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some like extended versions of those things or dialogue back and forth. Like extended action scenes of Bucky taking out a couple cars as they're chasing him down. Some really funny lines from Red Guardian, some great like interplay. Kind of confirms the fact that Valentina, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, has purchased former Stark Tower, Avengers Tower, is working out of that as her base of operations. It kind of confirms that that's the case, which we thought from the original teaser. Not really much more of Sentry, but he's in it as much as he was in the first one. Like,
right. I think that's
this
probably
just
all
looks
we're
like-
gonna see of Sentry, though, is something like that.
Yeah, you don't think he's
Or
going to show
maybe-
up in full costume?
Maybe like late type thing, but
Yeah.
I think he's just kind of gonna be a MacGuffin through the whole thing.
All right. Could be. But yeah, it looks fun and funny and it's got some great action in it and great like banter between characters. Like this looks great. Like this is the next two Marvel movies we're getting. Brave New World and Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
And I got to say, they both look awesome.
Yeah.
Marvel needs them to be awesome and it kind of looks like they are. I don't know. I hope that I'm right. I hope they both turn out being great. There's also a possible reason for there being an asterisk at the end of the Thunderbolts title. In the trailer at the end of it, Red Guardian really wants them to be called the Thunderbolts, and no one else thinks it's a good idea. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just that like
working title.
fine, we'll be the
type thing.
Thunderbolts, but with an asterisk because we're going to change this. Like it could just be a joke.
Yep.
Which would be funny, or maybe they do get an actual name by the end of the movie and it's a twist or
The
something like that.
Suicide Squad. Wait. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Wait a second.
Hold on. So yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so,
I was just watching some of the clips in the background. It does
cool.
look like it's
It looks awesome.
It, like you said, an extended version of the teaser we saw, and it looks fun. Looks good.
I have actually been, since I watched Captain America: First Avenger with my son recently, I've been really close to revisiting a lot of MCU movies that I haven't seen in a long time, and I don't think I'm going to watch all of them, but I would like play the hits kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Whether or not I watch them with my son or not, but
Once I went back and watched Winter Soldier like a year ago, and I was like, holy
Yeah, me too.
shit, this is just a good movie.
you told me that, and I think I watched it like a
Yeah.
week later. Because
It was great.
but, like I haven't seen Iron Man in a while. I haven't seen
Yeah.
some of the Guardians movies. I really would like to revisit.
Yep.
And I really think that would only increase my excitement for Thunderbolts, like revisiting some of these characters that are in this movie, especially like Black Widow movie and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pleasantly excited for both of these movies, which is more than I can say for most Marvel movies.
Yeah.
With the exception of Deadpool Wolverine. In like a long time.
No,
Long
that's I
time.
mean that's accurate all around. Like it's just
Yeah.
they look fun, they look well composed, they look not too marvelly. Like both of them
Right.
definitely they have elements where you're like, okay, it's definitely a Marvel movie, but they don't have that same sheen or whatever
Yeah.
that like to the same degree.
I agree. All right. Well, we already talked about how we don't have any comics to review this week.
Well,
Oh,
the
there-
comic I'm supposed to review is
Oh,
Kahori.
Kahori.
Yep. Reshaper of Worlds.
Yeah.
The Native American superhero introduced in the What If series. So this is the first
Oh, that's right.
the first superhero that was created in the MCU. So
For
strictly
the animated series, yeah.
so to get a comic. So
Right.
strictly created in the MCU. Great art. You may recognize the guy with the horns.
Oh, nice.
Some Loki
Daredevil?
action. Oh no, Blue Loki. I mean, so I realized I gave you a page with two
But
people. with
Daredevil's at
horns.
the bottom of that page,
Yes,
right? I'm not
Daredevil.
crazy. Okay,
Daredevil
Blue
is at
Loki.
the bottom
Okay,
of the
yeah.
page, but I was looking for the big horns.
Okay.
Frost Giant Loki. And yeah, it looks like it'll be fun. So I'll let you know how
Awesome.
it goes when I actually read it.
Awesome. I have been reading a book I bought a while ago, and it's been sitting on my shelf. The collected edition of Wonder Woman Historia.
Oh.
History of the Amazons. Remember
Nice.
that book that
Yeah.
came out and was like made a big splash and won some Eisners?
Yep.
It is incredible.
I mean, it won some Eisners. That usually is
It's
pretty good.
just it's just incredible. It's like exquisite. The artwork is exquisite.
Nice.
Like that's all I can. It's just mind-blowingly beautiful. So like, it's maybe the most beautiful comic book I've ever read
Oh,
in
wow.
my life. Yeah, it's like
That's-
it's incredible.
Some high praise.
High praise. So that's my comic book review for this week, even though I'm not done with it yet. Story is also very good. But this week, in your local comic book store, you may find the following books: Amazing Spider-Man number 61, Arcbound number 1, Batman and Robin number 15, Batman Dark Age number 6, Black Hammer Spiral City number 1, Captain America number 15, Deadpool number 8, G.I. Joe number 1, Green Lantern number 17, Heat Seeker Combustion Gun Honey Series 1. Crazy name. Love it. Huge Detective number 3, Life number 3, Masters of the Universe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles of Grayskull number 2. They do a lot of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles teaming up with.
Yeah. Them and Power
different
Rangers seem to
IP.
team up with everybody.
They've teamed up with Power Rangers. They've teamed up with Batman. They love a team up, those Ninja Turtles. NYX number 5, Power Rangers Prime number 1, Psylocke number 1, Star Trek Lower Decks number 1, Ewoks number 2, Star Wars Ewoks, Starved Rock number 1, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Nation number 2, Spectacular Spider-Men number 9, Time Waits number 2, Toxic Avenger number 2, Transformers number 14, Ultimate X-Men number 9, Uncanny X-Men number 5, and Venom 39. Bam.
I had two things that I misread while you were reading them. And
Yeah.
When you said Power Rangers Prime, I realized that it said Prime in the.
Yeah, I mistyped it. Yeah.
But I was thinking you have John Prine there, and then you have.
Mhm.
I misread Time Waits as Tom Waits, so I'm like, this is
Yeah.
the all music, all music week for comics.
Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, does it,
I was looking up.
does it involve
'cause
Funky
isn't-
Town Comics and Vinyl doing a
It
midnight
does.
release for GI Joe number 1?
Yes, exactly. When is that happening? They're doing a midnight release for the new GI Joe. What night is that
it
happening?
Tuesday?
It must be
Tuesday
Tuesday.
at midnight?
It's a midnight release. Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
believe
8 to
so.
midnight. head out to Funky Town Comics and get your new copy of G.I. Joe #1. And whatever else you want to get for that week.
Which
Head on down.
that is another Kirkman in the Void Rivals Transformers universe. So this is now the ongoing G.I. Joe to complement the ongoing Transformers.
Right.
So
Cool.
In the Energon universe.
I am having trouble remembering what the last issue of Batman Dark Age that I've read. I think 6 is the last one, but I don't remember if I've read 5.
I read 2 and then missed 3 and 4 on the poll, and that's where I've sat. So I'll probably grab
I've read at least 4.
Yep.
I just can't. I got to look through my stack and see if I've read 5 yet. But that's a great story, so I'll be excited to pick up 6 for sure. You gonna grab Psylocke #1?
I'll probably grab the #1. I've been trying to grab the ones for all these. I don't know if I'm going to follow through with any of them, but I always like to have the ones on the shelf. So
yeah, for sure. Well, cool. I think that's all I got. I mean, we spent a long time talking about Star Wars.
We did,
and I don't have any other comic news really besides Wonder Woman Astoria is good.
I was going to say just look over Mike's shoulder for Crown of Bones. You're good to go.
Yeah, Crown of Bones. Also, I finished Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. That is an exceptional book.
Nice.
I mean, I'm late to the party on reading that book, but highly recommend. Certainly before the movie comes out, 2 years. Read that book. And you might find a copy of it down at Funky Town Comics and Vinyl, who just restocked a bunch of graphic novels.
They did.
Getting ready for the holiday season. They are stocked and ready to go. So check them out down there.
I think I was talking to them. They've got another like 110 books coming in, graphic novel wise. So,
woo!
Yeah, they're gearing up.
Woo! Gearing up big time.
And weirdly, I found out they are now selling the Star Wars CCG or TCG.
That's right.
Unleash the Galaxy, or whatever the hell the new one was. Twilight of the Republic. Clone Wars.
Yeah,
Clone Wars set for that. So fun times all around.
Pretty cool. But yeah, Steve, I think that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I'd say if you're enjoying what you're seeing, like, subscribe on YouTube, give us a rating, review on your podcatcher of choice. We appreciate all of them. We still haven't made any of those cookies we're supposed to, but maybe someday we will. I don't think
we're getting close to the holidays. I think that's like a holiday cookie.
All right.
You know what I mean? I think I'm going to try to get that together.
Give it a go.
And it's really still the one, you said all those cookies. It's just the one type of cookie we haven't made yet.
It's true. This is true.
No one else has given us a recipe. Someone else wants to leave us a recipe and a 5-star review. We'll eat that shit on the podcast. That's our promise. And I know we haven't done it the one time someone's done it yet, but we're going to. They just picked an incredibly complicated recipe that we've been scared to attempt.
Like, what do I do? I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. You could have just said, like, here's a recipe for scrambled eggs or something, and then we would have done it weeks ago.
It's true. I made some this morning. Actually, my son made some this morning.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Look at him.
His first
good job.
First culinary foray, so scrambled eggs it is.
Congratulations to him.
There you go. So now that we've diverted into foodie talk for our children, I think it's time to wrap up.
We're definitely done. So yeah, do all the things Steve said and follow us on all the things. And until next time, as the 2 suns set over the burnt corpses of Owen and Brew Lars, we say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.